this your second time here, you feel me? Now,
Right.
I could just go through the usual, like, where you from? How was your upbringing? How did this mold you and all that? So I ain't gonna do all that, but give a quick rundown on where you from.
West side. I stayed on the south side a little bit, but out west, 13th and Heath Street where I grew up. I also stayed on 13th and Oakley, I think the block was. And then from there, I started living in the Saints too. So like Weston and Jackson. That's where we shoot most of No Time to Play for at too.
All right, now.
So, you know.
You say you miss the Chicago do's and don'ts. So
Right.
how much of your life experience goes into the do's and don'ts? Because they tips on you.
Right.
Me,
But I mean, so look, we could put it like this. The West Side play a huge part, but I think just being me and being able to go everywhere and meet a lot of different people and stuff like that, that's kind of what play into it.
What you mean? Expand on that.
Like just being, you know, you might call me one day and I might be like, yeah, I'm on 74th and such and such. And then I'd be like, yeah, I'm on 119th in Peoria. And then like, so it's just like, just being around the streets, having homies from different areas, neighborhoods, me being in different areas and neighborhoods, I was able to pick up on the street lingo and the street shit like fast, but from a place of like adapting to it to be able to survive, not from the place of like a lot of people pick up on street shit in order to like beef with people and be ops and say they not from this hood and they don't mess with this hood. I picked up on it in order to be able to survive and in order to be able to tell the story of it.
So you take real life experiences,
yeah,
and you put them into the do's and don'ts. Because I would assume that most people that actually do these do's and don'ts, like they'll probably pop on Google, you feel me, and put their 2 cents into it. But you coming from real life experience.
Yeah, I mean, like, so this gonna be so crazy. I ain't gonna say the block name, but I'm gonna say it was on like 64th, around like the Inglewood area, and I was probably like 10. So, no, I wasn't 10. I was like 12. I was 12. Excuse me. And so I was basically walking home or whatever, and then so it was around that time where a lot of stuff was just going on. So these two blocks was into it with each other. So dude was just like, hey, check it out. So I'm just like, I ain't checking it out. So then he was like, hey, check it out. Who is that? So I'm like, it's Mike G. He like, who? I'm like, so then he asked me where I was from. I said that. And then so when he said, check it out again, and he got up on me, he had like a big 4.5 in his hand, all black. I'll never forget it. So then he like, how old is you? So I told him my age. I literally told him like 12 or 13. That's how old I was at the time, because I know I was still in grammar school. So then he was just like, shorty, we in war around here. Get from around here. And then as I was walking past one of the other dudes, they was laughing, talking to each other. It was like maybe 5 or 6 of them standing on the porch. And he was like, man, niggas know to never check it out. But he wasn't saying it to me. He was like saying it to his homies, kind of laughing at the situation of like, shorty was not trying to check it out.
So what made you actually start, you feel me, doing the do's and don'ts?
It just popped in my head one day. Literally, I was just sitting there and I was like, man, you know what people are like to hear? I was like, people are like to hear things that's like do's and don'ts of Chicago. So I ended up calling up one of my homies, and my homie was like, I told him the idea, and he was like, nah, I don't think that's really gonna work. I'm not 100% sure. He was like, the idea might be okay, but I don't know. So then in my mind, I was kind of like, man, should I do it? I'm like, nah, I'm definitely doing it. So then I just ended up doing it, and the reception from the streets was impeccable off top. Like, so what, and let me tell y'all something that's very important about this, right? So one of my friends in Orlando got a business called Consider It Done, like a landscaping business. So he ended up putting a video on TikTok of him cleaning gutters, and it got like 17 million views. All he doing is taking pliers and pulling debris out the gutter. When he get it all the way out, the water just splash out. So that made me see TikTok totally different, because, you know, we from an era of like, we ain't dancing, it's goofy, facts. We ain't finna be on the internet looking no type of way. So once I saw him do that, that instantly clicked in my head like, oh, I don't have to be on TikTok doing what the shorties do. I can just do what I do and do it in my perspective. So from then on, I had just started putting my little stuff on TikTok as far as like from this podcast page. Then when I finally started doing it, I was putting it up, right? So I was kind of discouraged from using TikTok because TikTok don't let you say the N-word, right?
Right.
They'll flag the video, review it, and then push it through. And I guess they do that instead of like having people complaining to them about it being offensive or somebody being racist, they just flag it right off top. So about 2 weeks passed and I was like, man, you know what? Forget it. I had found that app that I sent you, like Photo Room or something. And then so once I found that app, I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm just gonna take the N words out and just post them up there. So I literally did that and posted my first do's and don'ts up there. So that one was all right. Then I was like, damn, that's catching traction. So then I put up on that car. And once I did that one started doing like 20,000, 30,000. I'm like, wait, what's going on? So I'm like, all right, let me put up the other one. Cause remember, all these are already on Instagram already. They're not on TikTok.
Right.
So then once I put the other one on TikTok, I'm like, let me put the other one up after that. So it was Weed Man Lies. And then I'm like, all right, let me put the dudes, the first date, do's and don'ts, first dates up there. So I put that up there and it was like, all right, 2,000. But it was like 2,000 views in like 2 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, man, this is crazy. What's about to happen? So then it's like 30 minutes go by. It's at like 20,000 views. Then an hour go by. It's at like 40,000 views. So right now it's set at 350,000 views. But within that
TikTok.
Yeah, on TikTok. Within that day, it did like 200,000 views, right?
Right.
So somehow that morning, Academics picked it up and posted it to his page.
Right.
And then it was kind of over from there. But the thing about the do's and don'ts that set me off, my Instagram was at 350 followers. And from there, it just kept going up. So now I'm just under
TikTok?
like TikTok. Yeah, my bad, TikTok. So I'm just under 10,000 followers on TikTok, but like most of my videos on there, I got one that's at like 200. Well, no, it's at 350,000. I got one at like 180,000. I got one at like 100,000. I got multiples at 100,000 on that. So it's just like, it was crazy. But the lesson in that is don't let something as minor as I can't say this one word stop you from succeeding. Because before I put that up there for like 2 weeks, I was just stubborn. No, I ain't posting on TikTok no more. They won't let me say that. I'm black. I'm supposed to be able to say that.
Right.
So if I would have stayed in that stubbornness, I wouldn't have even got the traction for DJ Academics to find it, to put it on there.
Now you spoke on your homie doing like 17 million views on TikTok. Did he see like a immediate growth from 17? He had to.
Yeah, he saw an immediate. I don't know what his number's at now. I can't remember, but he saw an immediate growth, and so he had just started putting. He literally only do like cleaning the gutters or cleaning the tiles or grouting something, like just regular stuff, and so. One thing people got to understand is that it's a niche out here for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
Thanks.
If you just sharpen pencils, it's a group of people in the world who just like sharpening pencils, who will sit there and watch videos of you sharpening pencils.
That's it, wow.
But so for me, when we just try to get back to the topic of the do's and don'ts, I wanted to do something that would stand out. With me, when I do stuff, I always want to do stuff, one, that I feel like is on brand, two, that don't take away from the factor of me being able to have a voice that could reach both sides. And three, how can I grow it? So like when you look at the do's and don'ts, it's the street dudes who look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's real. Okay. Then you got the people who on the fence who kind of be like, man, you know what, bro, right, I should try to do it this way. And then you got the white people, the people from the suburbs, the people who don't know nothing about this, who kind of come and it's like, oh, this is a tutorial. I didn't know this. Like, so that's what I like about it. I think it reached all three levels. Like it reached the quicksand, it reached the middle tier people, and it reached the top tier people, and it give them insight. You know what I'm saying? That's what I look for. Even though it's quote unquote hood news, it give you insight to the life instead of it being like something where it's glorifying it. It's just telling you the story, and you can make of it what you want.
You know, like I've seen you, like, how could I say this? I've seen you reinvent yourself a couple times.
More than a couple.
And I think a lot of people be fearful of changing who they are. Not necessarily changing who they are, but growing.
Don't forget your question. I won't cut you off. So I'm going to tell y'all this, and I might have mentioned this in the first interview we did, but I'm more popping now, so y'all will probably watch this more. The first time I sent Jay some music, he kind of told me it was trash. And like I was low key, like ready to get into it with him because I knew the music was good. But when I listen back to it now, the writing was good, but the delivery wasn't good and the presence wasn't there. So I think one thing I always looked at as Jay, he's never been like the person to be like, oh yeah, bro, you ready? All right, we gonna come out and give you an interview. He always just put it to you like, nah, that ain't it. So when you talk about reinventing yourself, I always knew what I should be, what I could be, what I would do. But one thing I always noticed, and I don't know who I got it from. Maybe I got it from watching Busta Rhymes, but I always noticed within myself or just in general, if something not working, that don't mean it's not good. That just means it's not working, right? So what I noticed when I first was like Mike Will the Great, right? Well, I was Mike Will first, actually. What I noticed was like, okay, people become fatigued of you after a while. So if I've been doing it for a year and I sent Think Ill Radio 50 emails in that year, well, the first one, I'm ambitious. The second one, I'm consistent. The third one, all right, we heard this before. The fourth one, I know what content he's sending. By the fifth one, you're not even really opening it no more. You're not listening to it. You're just posting it because you fuck with me sometime, right?
Okay.
That's with anybody. So one thing I could do by changing my name was now you seeing something fresh. Man, who is this? Who is this Mike Will the Great? Oh, okay. That's okay. Who is my MWCC? Oh, man. Who is Fairplay? Who is Fairplay 2333? So each time when you see that new email, you listening to it with a new ear. And so purposely between the time I was MWTG until I discovered to be Fairplay, I didn't put no pictures on my music at all because I knew they would associate my picture with the old artist and instantly write me off as like, nah, we don't fuck with what he doing. We don't like it. So that's how I did it. And once I decided to be Fairplay, I was just like, this is my name I had since I was like 2 months old. Everybody from my hood know it. Everybody from 13th, everybody from the Saints know it. So when people see it, it's automatically going to be brand recognition. That right there is Blue Magic. So they going to notice it, right? So that was my point behind Fairplay. And then I was just like Googling and I was like, you know what? Fairplay come up as too many things. So I added the 2333, which is my building number, just to be like, all right, that's cool. Now it stands out from everything. So I instantly took over the SEO. I instantly was able to just like take my old catalog down and repost some of the stuff up, recreate new stuff. And now you will never, when you type in Fairplay 2333, it's over with on the internet.